Welcome to Jets Overtime. Our free agency recap is presented by Visa. I'm Eric Allen, joined in the studio, as always, by Quincy Enunwa. Coming up, we'll hear from a new Jet, wide receiver Alan Lazard, as well as a Jet who isn't going anywhere. That's Quincy Williams. Free agency, though, it's an ongoing process. We found that out again this week. The Jets agreeing to terms with former Chiefs wideout Mecole Hardman Jr., and then they followed that up seemingly minutes later with a trade. Elijah Moore and a third-round pick go to Cleveland in exchange for the Browns' second-round pick this April. Let's start with Hardman first. Q, he's a burner. He's got 23 career touchdowns, and he scored 4 different ways.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what this guy brings to the team. Last year, he had an opportunity to really show himself, and unfortunately, injuries limited his potential. So this year, you know he's hungry to really go out here. He has a 104-yard return under his belt, so he's an exciting playmaker. He can score from the backfield. He can score from the slot. Who knows what the Jets are going to do, but this is a guy that you want on your team to really make plays.
A versatile piece. The Jets' wide receiver room is definitely changing. Not only did the Jets sign Hardman, but early in free agency, they inked a deal with former Packers wideout Alan Lazard. Meanwhile, Braxton Berrios, he signs with the Dolphins, and Moore is a Brown. In Lazard, you're talking about a guy, physical skill set, 6'5", 227 pounds. He brings a big body on the outside.
Yeah, like you said, a big body receiver, a guy that's capable of going up and getting the ball, but also capable of getting dirty in the run game. That's a guy that you want on the field. You're a Z receiver. You can move him around and make sure you're blocking the safety or going and making an over route. All those different things you can do with this guy.
With Aaron Rodgers recently saying he wants to play next year and he would like to play with the Jets, the football world continues to speculate about what a Packers deal could look like. But bottom line here is the Jets have great draft capital. No matter what they want to do, you have options because you have the 13th overall pick this year, the 42nd overall selection, and the 43rd overall selection. Both of those are in the second round.
Yeah, exactly. So if they want to use that to get Aaron Rodgers, they have the possibility to do that. If they wanted to get somebody in the draft, they have the possibility to do that. Aaron Rodgers is a guy that you definitely want on this team. So who knows what will happen. Maybe the Packers want this or not. But definitely you have a lot of potential with these picks.
You definitely have options, and Joe Douglas is going to do his best to construct a championship roster. We talk about the wide receiver position. How about the offensive line depth pieces? Wes Schweitzer comes over here from Washington, and Tristan Colon follows Schweitzer up from Baltimore.
Yeah, 2 great guys that you can bring in for depth. Again, the Jets last year, the offensive line was going down with injuries. So if you bring some guys in who are talented pieces, they can get in and start, or they can go in and be rotational players. But ultimately, you just need guys that can help out this offensive line.
Coming up, we'll get Quincy breaking down some film. But up next, Ethan Greenberg will sit down with new Jets wideout Alan Lazard.
Anyone can change the game, presented by Visa.
Rodgers lets it go. Lazard, he's got it for the touchdown. He's got it. Lazard, gonna go. Caught. Alan Lazard. And this time, it's in the hands of Lazard. And that's Lazard pulling it down.
We just got to hold each other to that high standard, and the rest will take care of itself.
Alan, congratulations. What brought you to New York, and how would you describe your free agent process?
Thank you for having me. What brought me to New York, I was born and raised Des Moines, Iowa, from the Midwest, played in Green Bay, so I've been very restricted, I feel like, in my world so far. And the bright lights, the city, and really just the melting pot of culture here really intrigued my interest, as well as Coach Hackett. I think a big thing for me is day-to-day life and the work environment. And I know I'll be getting out of that guy. And if he's here, then I know the other guys, especially in the coaching staff and the locker room, will be very much the same.
As a player, I think it's fair to say, even though you're a new Jet, you probably have the most experience with Coach Hackett. How would you describe his style and his scheme, and why do you think you're a good fit?
Coach Hackett, personality, something I've never met before. He's one-of-one personality, and really my biggest compliment to him is that he's probably the best teacher I've ever had, because the way he presents the information, the way that he allows you to remember it, it's something that sticks with you forever. And that's something that I find very intriguing, and his system is very simplified, I feel like. And once you hear these few words, you know exactly what to do. So playing his system, that's something I'm very fluent with. I'm very familiar with his language, and I know the previous history that we've had and the success that we've had that we can continue that.
What does it mean to you, or what did it mean to you when you're putting pen to paper as someone who once went undrafted and had to claw his way onto a 53, now signing a second contract in the NFL?
Yeah, this journey to get here today has been long. It's been hard, it's been tough. It's meant so much to me, just knowing the sacrifice and the time that I put in to get to this point in my life. But at the end of the day, you know, the famous Kobe saying, job's not done. You know, I didn't work this hard just to get here and to relax. You know, I came here to take this next step and to grow, not only as a player, but as a man off the field as well. And I'm excited for this opportunity.
You talked about this team being a young team. As someone who's young but has experience, playoff experience, what do you think you add to this group?
I think the biggest thing that I add to this group is just experience, especially playing in tight situation games, playing in primetime games, playing playoff games, and having success, having big plays, having, you know, all the pressure, you would say, on me and still being able to succeed. And so I think bringing that to the table, as well as kind of showing other guys on how to be successful and to stay focused in those tough pressure situations, something I can add to the team.
Thanks, Greens. Robert Saleh talked about running it back on defense, and the Jets made a critical move, keeping Quincy Williams off the market before the start of free agency. The Jets also re-signed Solomon Thomas, but will still be looking to add some beef on the interior as Sheldon Rankins and Nathan Shepard are joining the Texans and Saints respectively. Prior to the start of the league year, Joe Douglas made a great value strike, acquiring Ravens starting safety Chuck Clark for a 7th-round pick in 2024. He joined the official Jets podcast this week.
So when it first happened, head coach called me, DC called me. They was all on the call. Player-wise, DJ Reed had reached out to me, and we texted back a little bit. Who else? Talked to Joe. So yeah. I got good feedback, and I was like, all right, cool. They reaching out to me, they welcoming me, It's like, cool, this is what's up.
What about Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich when they got on the phone? Because Saleh, to a man, everybody talks about his connectivity with the players.
Definitely. So, with that, like we kind of hopped on the phone and got to chop it up a little bit, and I always heard about him. Just talk through the league and different guys. He's real good with the players. I connect with him, and just hopping on the phone and we talking back and forth. He's like really excited to have me over. I think like the vibe that I got was like very welcoming and all right, like, hey, I'm gonna be here for you. You know what I'm saying? Everything that you need, and we're gonna go and do what we got to do.
Can you talk about adding to the culture and what you will take from your time in Baltimore? Because when you think about the Ravens, you think about a perennial contender, a team that's going to be battling the playoffs every year.
I think that's like how I told you I was talking with DJ, and I had this conversation with somebody else in the building when I was there last week. Like I feel like playoffs is minimum. Like we got to get in there. Like win the next game and let's get to the playoffs. Let's do what we got to do. And once we get in the playoffs, we're going to set up and start moving from there and do what we got to do. So, just having that experience, I've been in the league 6 years, and I missed the playoffs too. So I feel like, hey, we got to get in the playoffs. Got to give yourself a shot to go win a ring.
Coming up, we'll go up a level on defense as Caroline Hendershot will go one-on-one with Jets linebacker Quincy Williams.
Anyone can change the game, presented by Visa.
Oh my goodness! Quincy Williams with a pile driver. Stonewalled at the line as Quincy Williams came in and put a shot. Hard hit. Nick Chubb is lit up. Hard and thrown down, and that was Quincy Williams making the play.
I just want to let Jet Nation know I'm back, and the uppercut is back too.
Quincy, back for another 3 years. What was your initial reaction with re-signing with the Jets?
All right, so funny story. I was actually at brunch celebrating my best friend's bachelor party. So when I got the call from my agent, I was like, hey, I need like a quiet space. And he was like, you can go outside. I said, no, even quieter. And he was like, I got just the space. So we ended up going inside a refrigerator.
Oh, no way.
A big refrigerator to take the call. So it was fun.
So after your big season last year, what made you want to re-sign with the Jets instead of hitting the market and kind of seeing your options?
The most important one was my brother. I enjoyed playing with him. We had a lot of conversations, and then like now when we at home, we have a lot to talk about, family, have a lot to talk about and stuff like that. So just having those memories together. The second one would have to be the coaching staff, the team, all together really. Trust and believe in me. Rudy was actually my first coach when I got into the NFL at the Jaguars. So we kind of had a relationship my whole career. And so that was very huge for me. And then CJ just taking me up under my wing, and Quan Alexander. So all those guys just ready to get back to that. And then the final thing is what we built last year, what we started last year. So last year was more like a restart for us. So last offseason, we went and got a lot of guys, made a lot of moves and stuff like that. And as you've seen during the season and stuff, it was a whole different defense.
Well, last year was your second consecutive season of 100 or more tackles. What do you credit that success to?
I credit that success to CJ Mosley, Quan Alexander, a lot of people that I came into the league with a lot of athletic ability, but I wasn't a student of the game, and I was moving to a new position. And Rudy, like I said, was my first coach coming in, so he was just real patient with me. And I just credit it to like the hard work of those guys putting it into me, and me just listening, taking on what they said. But I promise y'all, they're the one. They made me who I am, basically.
Well, Quincy, we appreciate the time, and we're glad to have you back.
Thanks for having me. It feels good to be back.
Well, it's great that Quincy Williams isn't going anywhere, and that uppercut celebration staying right there at MetLife Stadium. Time for some film now. We're always powered up by Microsoft Surface. And since we're talking Jets, how about a little jet sweep for new receiver, McCole Hardman?
Yeah. So here we go here. He's here at the bottom. Want to highlight him. Obviously, a jet sweep. He's a great player for these type of things. You just got to handle the ball and watch him work. So you're going to see him in motion. And the one thing I like about him is his acceleration, but not just his acceleration, but also his vision. He's patient here. He's able to let his blockers make the play for him. And then when he sees that he's a possibility that somebody's gonna come get him right here, he does a great job of accelerating past him and finishing the play.
Yeah, Q. He's got great acceleration, just has another gear, and he can sneak up on defenders in a hurry. The Jets are going to find ways to get him the football. He'll be joining a wide receiver room that includes new Jets receiver Allen Lazard. Of course, he can use his body to box people out, but he has worked on his route running throughout his career, as we see right now.
Exactly. So a lot of times when you see this type of route here, most times you're going to see a guy run here and then come back. But I like what he does with his stem. What is his stem? His stem is how he attacks the corner. So with this stem, he takes a sharp outside break to make the corner flip his hips outside. Then he takes another step forward to make the corner run like he's running a go. And then you see him stop on a dime, perfect. Corner is falling, and it's right on time for Aaron Rodgers to get on the ball.
14 touchdowns the last 2 seasons for Allen Lazard. He's also going to help in the run game on the outside, getting after people blocking. Let's flip it to the other side of the ball. Chuck Clark most recently played with the Baltimore Ravens last year, more than 100 tackles, but here he is flashing his coverage ability.
Coverage ability, because this is one thing they had him do a lot last year, was covering covering tight ends. So on this play here, usually you're gonna have an under, a corner, or a post. So he's lined up well, and he knows I can't give up too much ground. So what I want you to see right here is it's a great job here. He's lined up against the tight end, and he's physical at the point. Doesn't allow him to run through him. He lets him know that I'm here and I'm gonna be covering you. And it's a great job staying physical with him. And a lot of times when you run this corner route, I want to back up a little bit. A lot of times when you run this corner route, you want to free access to that back corner so the quarterback has all of this room here to get you the ball. So he does a great job of messing with him a little bit and just kind of making it difficult on him. And then you see him falling there. A lot of people would say, oh, it's PI, but that's incidental contact. That's just great coverage right there.
How about a receiver saying that was incidental contact? You don't hear that too often. You've come a long way. Coming up, we're going to have some advanced metrics on the Jets free agency class, as well as final takeaways from Quincy Enunwa and myself.
There's nothing like Jets game day at MetLife Stadium. Lock in your 2023 season tickets to catch every big moment next season and secure the best seats, lowest prices, and most exclusive benefits. Visit nyjets.com/season tickets to learn more. It happens here. Welcome back to Jets Overtime Special presented by Visa. Let's take a deeper look at some of the new Jets, starting with wide receiver Allen Lazard. We know he's coming off a career high in catches and yards, 14 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons, but I want to point out something that doesn't come up in the stat sheet. Run blocking. Check out this block last season. Packers at Dolphins. Lazard took out 3 players with 1 block. This is the best part, though. He counts them up. 1, 2, and 3, just 1 block. Packers head coach Matt LaFleur called him a goon, which in hockey lingo means an enforcer. Moving to defense, let's take a look at new safety Chuck Clark. Clark has lined up at seemingly every position on defense: safety, outside linebacker, slot cornerback, inside linebacker, edge, perimeter cornerback, and interior defensive line. He also has the longest active defensive snap streak with 1,248. Make that 2 Ironmen who played in Baltimore. All right, let's get in the trenches with Wes Schweitzer. Schweitzer's taken at least 1 snap at each of the 5 positions along the offensive line. He's taken the most snaps at left guard with 2,201, then at right guard just under 2,000, followed by center, where he started 6 games for the Commanders this past season. Obviously not a lot of experience at either tackle spot, but a versatile piece nonetheless.
Good stuff there, Greens. Quincy, what do you think about the Jets' approach to free agency to date? On the offensive side of the ball, the theme has been some changes in that wide receiver room, and Joe Douglas continues to address the offensive line.
Yeah, exactly. You got guys that are coming in. You also have some departures, but I think these guys come in are hungry to play. You talk about McCole Hardman, a guy that can be put in the run game. You can hand the ball off to him. You can move him around. You can put him even on special teams. And he's on a 1-year deal, so you know he's extra hungry to play for this team. Then you talk about Allen Lazard, another guy that you can move around and put in the run game, but now this guy can block for you, but he can also make so many great receptions. You've seen him make time after time, come up with great plays with Aaron Rodgers of the Packers. So now he comes here hoping to bring that same ability, and now he has Nathaniel Hackett, a familiar face for him.
Hardman is one of the fastest guys in the National Football League, and no Jets receiver since 1970 has ever lined up taller than 6'5". You play with a guy who is 6'5" in Brandon Marshall. I'm not comparing Lazard to Marshall, but it's just a different physical skill set. On the defensive side of the ball, Robert Saleh said before free agency began, let's see if we can run it back. And the Jets got Quincy Williams back in the fold. And then how about that trade from Joe Douglas acquiring Chuck Clark, a starting safety in the National Football League, on a very good Baltimore Ravens defense for a late-round pick in 2024.
Yeah, well, as a fellow Quincy, I'm happy about the Quincy Williams signing. I mean, this guy's a spark plug, a guy that you can throw in, and he's going to make plays. He's going to really excite the team, excite the crowd, really make it fun to play football. But not only him, but also Chuck Clark. I like Chuck Clark because this is a guy that's a physical safety, a guy that didn't get as many opportunities last year because the Ravens drafted a guy, they brought in another guy. So now he comes here, he gets an opportunity to really show what he can do again. He was successful with the Ravens, he's gonna be successful with the Jets as long as he follows along with the plan that they have for him.
Yeah, you want continuity on the defensive side of the ball, and the Jets are gonna have that. That's one of the top defensive units in the National Football League. That's all we have time for tonight. 1JD Films returns next week, and mark your calendars for a Jets overtime return on April 8th.